Not sure if it cut out again, but oh, I like the original. I like Mothra. I like Mechagodzilla. I like King of Monsters. I like yeah, that's the one with the multi-headed one. I've seen mostly just the old ones. I haven't seen any of the new ones. I did not see the one with Millie Bobby Brown in it. I did not see. I did at one time see the Hank Azaria slash Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie, the American one. Um, but I do. I enjoy the terrible fights in Godzilla versus King Kong. I did see one of the newer ones on Sci-Fi Channel, I think, recently. Final Wars. Is that one of the newer ones? Daryl Banks, another comic book artist. I know he's a big fan. He also likes what is it, the Ultraman, all that kind of stuff. I am going to take some artistic liberty with this just because copying photographs is boring. Batman Beyond. And that would be the last request for this one. Karen, I'll probably not be able to get to it tonight, but I will do it. See, this time I learned. I have to write down everyone's names. Well, then it's my pleasure to meet you, Karen. I'm happy to do a Batman Beyond for you. I'm just getting tired today earlier than I did last time. I'm sorry. But I'll do them. I'll get them all done. Just like last time I had to do some off camera and got them in the mail. And some people have already gotten some of theirs from last time. So if you haven't gotten yours, just keep an eye on the mailbox. It's coming in a very Boring looking envelope. Plain old-fashioned envelope. You might mistake it for a bill. It's not a bill. It does not have a window on the front. Oh, thanks very much, Karen. I'm happy to help in any little way that I can. No need to donate, Ray. Not at all. Pass it along to the next person. Boss is yelling. Hope you're okay, man. I do remember the Godzilla comic books that Herb Trimpe drew a lot of. I don't have all the comics. I have a few of them. It takes some doing for me to get into like tie-in comics or like licensed comics. Just being honest, like it takes a really good creator. It takes, there needs to be some big reason for me to check it out other than it just being part of a show. I know some people really like the Buffy comics are super popular, and the art's good, and I've heard the writing's quite good. Same thing with like Angel or Star Trek. Like I've read some of the Star Wars comics. I've gone back and read some of those. But that's because like Walt Simonson drew it, or Ron Frenz or Cam Kennedy painted some of them for Dark Horse. This is where I go off photo and try to make it, give it a little bit of zest. I once had an art teacher describe some of my drawings as crunchy. I still don't know what that means, but thought it sounded good. All right, I'm going to say that my light sources there's going to be like some gunfire this way, gunfire that way. So let's get some of that Godzilla texture. Little zest, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if some creator does something really interesting, then I'll check it out. But I never pick up Star Trek for Star Trek, even though a big fan of the show. Although I did see one cover recently that it looked like just an awkward photo manipulation. They had a really excellent painter doing a lot of the covers and stuff, and J.K. Woodard, he does terrific artwork, and his likenesses are incredible. I don't know why they would ever, look away from him from doing stuff. His likenesses are just dynamite. Who else did I see was doing Star Trek covers at one point? Thanks, Desiree. Glad you like it. I always thought there was a little bit of like a Godzilla looks. See, everybody likes Godzilla. I might keep tweaking it later, but I think we gotta move on to the next one. Oh, you're very welcome. He is a friend to humanity. Everybody likes Godzilla. Now another one where I have to look up reference. And see, I played the original Zelda and Link on NES, but it's changed so much over the years. See, I don't think you guys want me to draw this little guy, little 8-bit. It says it's the NES era version. Now I have an NES in the other room, and it never looked like that. That's what I'm used to. I'm used to that little guy being bombarded by. See, I can't tell what his nose looks like there. I guess he didn't really have a nose. That anime stylistic look. Oh, there he is, like a big nose. Oh, we'll take a stab. This actually looks like somebody I have to draw sideways just because of how big his head is. Hey, Burton. Yeah, you missed Godzilla. That's all right. I don't know if I'm drawing as well as I did last time, but I don't know. It's been tougher and tougher to keep the focus lately. Sure, I'm not alone in that boat. Do the sideways 8-bit where he's got the shield up. That's what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to losing at. It took me so long to beat the original Zelda. It took an obscene amount of time for me to beat that. But of course, I was beating it, 30 years ago. I think it took me less time to beat all of the Final Fantasy games. For some reason, that game just took me forever. I did eventually beat it, but it just took. If you don't mind, I'd rather draw the Hulk. Just a little more fun. I'm not a big fan of the Joker. I did a Joker earlier for a young man, and if you're cool with the Hulk, I would have more fun drawing him. There's so many different versions of the Hulk, like Mr. Fix-It. We get the middle of the face. I've been invited to like anime shows, but I've never been to anime shows just because I don't feel like I draw that style at all, and when I do, I usually do it pretty poorly. There's some artists that can do that style, out of their heads and come up with like really cool new compositions, but I have to look at reference because it doesn't come natural because like the proportions, like I don't understand all the exaggerations, and I know they all have different meanings, and it's part of their storytelling and character design, like lexicon. Yeah, if you're cool with Hulk, that would be more fun for me. Not that this is about me, but you gave me the option, so I chose to exercise that option. Cool. I'm actually going to lose the reference and just try to draw. I think my stuff gets really, really stiff when I look at reference too much. I think it ceases to become my own work pretty quickly. It becomes like a bad emulation of somebody else's work. You can actually, I think, see it in some of my work where I've had to use a style guide, and the publisher's been really strict about that style guide. I think you can actually just see it in the work because it's just so stiff. I actually think my first Ninja Turtles cover is just super stiff. Like I have a lot of nostalgia for it, and I'm proud that I got to do it. But when I look at the actual work, very stiff. See, and I'm trying to think three-dimensionally, and I don't necessarily think that that's always the case with some of these designs. Maybe it is. I'm not well versed in modern stuff. You know, I watched some of the old stuff when I was a kid. We also had Toonami when I was in high school, where they had Dragon Ball Z and Ronin Warriors and a bunch of other stuff. Did they ever do a Link TV show? I don't know. I have no idea. I know they had like a Nintendo show. And I think that show had another name. I think it was dubbed into something else. It came over here. Of course, I put it dead center, so it has no movement whatsoever. Yay me. Hey, thanks, Elon. Thanks for popping in. That's very kind of you to say. Hope you and the fam are doing well. Greetings, Guts. Let's see if we can pull this thing out of the fire. I remember the show a little bit. Let me check in his hand a little bit. I don't even remember if he has 5 fingers. You never know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Obviously, my light source is coming from over here. There we go. Starting to come together. One thing to remember if you're drawing someone holding something is that it lines up, inside the hand with the knuckles. It lines up right here. So whatever they're holding. In this case, the sword lines up with the knuckles too. See, when I take it kind of more in the direction of my style, I get a little bit more confidence, and I feel like I can do a little bit more instead of feeling locked in. When we started with that likeness, I just threw me off the whole way. Somebody actually wanted me to do a portrait of their family in my style, and I said sure, but I hope the expectations aren't that it looks exactly like your family, because it's going to be a cartoon version thereof. Starting to feel a little better. I don't know. You get the shakes, I guess. Thanks, Ray. Like I said, doing it more in my style than with a little bit of more of the anime influence rather than trying to just copy how that stuff looks, because I can't draw that stuff worth of beans. Getting a little more confidence now. I was nervous with the Godzilla too. I don't know why. I was feeling nervous today. I don't mind hitting up reference for like, how to draw, something specific for a story or for getting a costume right, like getting all the elements correct. But when I'm really relying on the reference for the entire character, it definitely throws me off. Thanks very much, Desiree. Enjoy your dinner. Hope it's something good. Sorry if you can hear my tripod moving when erasing stuff. Oh, thanks, Kenny. I think I've drawn him once before, maybe. It's almost always for free younger readers, as I'll refer to. Usually it's on like a free comic book day. I'll get a request for video game characters. I'll invariably end up drawing a Sonic that is the stuff of nightmares, because it's just frightening looking. At some point, I'll just draw a Sonic so you can see how horrific every time I draw it looks. And I've tried to make it better. Lord knows. See, what I did in this one that was a little different than like Godzilla was this, like I have some basic cast shadows, and there's just certain characters that I don't know, sometimes when I'm drawing too much from reference, I just don't feel confident throwing in cast shadows because they're not always correct. They're usually very stylistic. You know, I do my best to make them correct, but you know, they can also have some personality, a little panache to them. Just gotta let it dry for a second before I get the last little glimmer. There we go. See, we're starting to draw a little better. That's why we push through. First couple drawings, a little rough. Sorry about that. Actually gonna sign. Didn't leave myself any room to sign. What else is there? There we go. That's a little better. A little better. All right. Slash. Much better than the last drawing, for sure. I never actually drew Slash for any of the TMNT stuff that I've done. I think I did it. I think I drew his picture for one commission. And I think it was like a tiny little headshot. I think it was that version that I ended up drawing for commission. I assume he's the big guy, right? Yep. He's got like spikes on his shells and stuff. It's like an extreme turtle. That's a great drawing right there with him running towards him. So he's got 4 fingers. He's got like alligator scales. There seems to be a lot of variation in how he's drawn. So we'll try to have some fun with it. I used to have snapping turtles as pets when I was a kid. Used to catch them out of the pond when they were like, actually like the size of this eraser. And, had them in a fish tank for a few years. And then when they got real big and scary, we would let them go in the ponds. Snapping turtles have a beak on them that's very sharp. I've only ever mentioned a couple of stories to IDW as far as ones that I would want to write and draw. They've, to date turned them all down, but one of them was for a Casey Jones hockey story because I play hockey, and I think I kind of know people who lived the minor league hockey life that was pretty tough. Especially when I was playing, that was like at the peak of fighting in hockey. And there were people that very much made their living and made their careers as fighters in hockey because they weren't necessarily the best, most skilled players. And I just think that would be a fun story to tell with Casey Jones, what built up to him being this person. And I know they've done a few different origin stories, but like, if you've read Essex County by Jeff Lemire, I think that is much more in the direction that I think it would go. But that's like one of the few IDW stories that I've pitched in their general direction. Thanks, Lawrence. It's already 10:20, goodness. This might be the last one on camera tonight. Just because I'm so tired. But I will get to the list. I will do the whole list. Oh, that's pretty cool, Mike. See, that sounds like a cool idea to me. But I'm not in charge, so it all goes through Mr. Bobby Curnow. I'll do the whole list. I just running out of steam. Although I am drawing better right now than I was earlier in the night, which is a little surprising, but I think it's because I'm not doing likenesses. I think it's just that simple. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have my A game tonight, but hopefully things will pull together. Yeah, snapping turtles actually have a flatter head. Oh, thank you, Joe. But these are obviously animated turtles. One thing I do like about the turtles is they're forgiving as far as like having a stylistic approach. It can go in a lot of different directions. You can go with like I always think of Steve Levine's artwork when I think of the animated series because he did so much of the marketing artwork for that. So I immediately think of his stuff, and it absolutely works, and it looks very cool. Jim Lawson, totally different style than the other guys, and he does beautiful, beautiful stuff. Eric Talbot does those just interestingly, like, ornate turtles. But I'll try to get a good night's sleep tonight. And, hopefully we can get back at it and have the A game tomorrow. I've been working my way through like I said earlier, a Rush comic job, and we're trying to get another tick thing done and commissions to do. Pandemic and all. So, but get up every day and do the best I can. Check in on my friends. Check in on the family. All that good stuff. I do occasionally get asked about favorite characters to draw. I also get asked why I don't draw the Ninja Turtles more often. I know that there's some people that draw, the turtles all the time, and that's, mostly what they like to draw. I don't know. Until I do any sort of like interior pages, I don't know if I'm gonna feel the connection to those characters that other artists do. I've done, a handful of covers and stuff, but I don't know. It's just something about interior pages that when you actually draw the stories happening, that I think I feel more connected to a character. Just personal preference. That's why when I'm like goofing off at home, sometimes I'll still draw the Tick just because I like drawing them, and I just like I can think of more stories. Like I've thought more through like how they move and how they think and what they do. I guess I don't think I draw all the characters all that well for Ninja Turtles. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Kenny. You guys are the experts, so I'll defer to you guys. You guys definitely know more about the characters than I do, and I mean that as a compliment. Those turtle talks and stuff that like Peyton and those folks are doing, just amazing. I think it's super cool.